Hey friends, fans, and lovers, it's Mr. Joshua. I'm back here again for another book review with B, the Amazing Teddy Bear, and today we are going to be reviewing for you This Is How You Lose Her by... I'm going to destroy this name. Valentine, how do you say it? Junot Diaz. This is right there. Junot Diaz. My apologies in advance. Basic opinions. Do I like the book? Yes. Is it my kind of book? Not at all. Is it well written? Surprisingly so. Is there a lot of slang? Yes. Like 90% of the book is slang I don't properly get because I'm not Dominican. So, it got really hard. I'm also really bad at Spanish, which was a problem a number of times. Fortunately, Valentine was around and knew more than I did, so I just got to sit there looking like an idiot going, what is this word? About every paragraph, and half a paragraph, every 2 lines, there was something I couldn't read, which was fine, and it really adds to the aesthetic of the story. This is a good book, just not what I read ever, which is probably apparent if you watch all my other, or any of my other book reviews. But, you know, I had it to pick up, and I did, and hey, it's good. It is a good book. The thing about this book that's so neat is that it captures reality in a very real sense. The characters all seem real. They've got just enough of an intricacy, enough of an eccentricity in them to be realistic. You don't go, oh, that's a 2-dimensional character. You go, that's a very 3-dimensional character, and you can believe that they are a person. The challenge is they're really just super normal, and that just tore me apart inside. The characters are believable. Very believable in that they exist in this normal, real world we all live in, which is fine, only it's kind of meh. I mean, reading this story, I don't want to meet any of the characters in the book. Like, if they were to show up, I'd be like, oh, why are you here? I didn't want to meet you. Ever. Which is odd. I really don't like books that don't have any likable characters. The protagonist in the story isn't exactly unlikable. He's just so normal guy. Kind of makes me feel bad that I can say that because the things he does aren't particularly good. He just feels like a, hey, I'm a guy. How you guys all doing? Awesome. We're dudes. That's great. That's pretty much the protagonist. But it is a good book from the way that it's written, to its characters, to the design, to the stories it tells. It's a bunch of little tiny vignettes stuck together to be an almost pseudo-biography of our protagonist, who has gone through a number of, well, effectively breakups with different girls that he's been in relationships with. And it's all, I mean, it is good. They're like real, this is how people break up situations, which is cool. I've never been in any of them personally, which is fine. I don't really want to. Not my kind of girl in any of these stories, and usually not the kind of guy I try to be. But this book makes me kind of sad because I read it, I accept that these are people, and then I'm disappointed because I want the people to be better. I want there to be better people in them. I want the people to accomplish things or achieve things or grow as characters, and that never really seems to happen, which is part of why it's so real. It's got this gripping piece where you realize, oh, that's a real person kind of a thing. Yeah, a lot of people don't change. A lot of that's the issue. People aren't characters in stories. And that's what kept me going. Even though it's not my kind of book, I read that and my heart just hurt the whole time. Because I wanted them to grow, I wanted it to be... And then the Deus Ex Machina came in and everything was okay. But that wasn't going to happen, which is fine. This is the kind of book where you don't need those things. I'm not saying it would have been better if they were there, I'm just saying I would have liked it more. But... it's a good book, and if you're around to read it, go for it. I give it a good high recommendation. I just hope you know more Spanish than I do, and have a Dominican background. I don't know, that would have helped a lot. But it's good. Also, don't read it aloud. You can if you'd like to, but you'll end up saying a lot of things I would never repeat on camera, ever. Ever. There's a lot of... the characters are very real in that they curse about as much as people really do. And I was reading it aloud to Valentine. I just felt terrible for like half the sentences I was saying. I'm like, I should never say this. I'm like a white kid. I feel terrible. I almost never feel like there's a defining line that makes me feel like a white boy. This book does that really well. Like, I read this book the whole time I'm reading it. I'm like, I am not Dominican. I don't understand what's going on. I get basic ideas. You're feeling emotions that I feel are similar to mine, but what are you? I am not the same thing, and that was weird, because usually I try to build this, camaraderie with all people. It's like, hey, race isn't a thing, don't worry about it, and usually that holds up perfectly well, but this book was written where that was like a defining point, and it did it very well. It added like edges and jags and points to something that I was trying to keep invisible in my life, which was weird. It was well done, whatever it was. More points to the author. They're pointing out holes and plot points that I didn't realize were things in life, in reality. If anything, I recommend reading it. It was I guess apparently it's now an eye-opener all of a sudden, but it is a good book. There are definitely things to learn, and maybe I'm just crazy. But you might see some similar pieces in there. So, if you got it, give it a shot. It's definitely worth the money to read. This is How You Lose Her. Read it. Bye!